Hello, sports fans, sports collectors, and all hobbyists. Welcome to the Card King Sports and Variety Show. I am your host, the Catman, Brian Cataquet, a.k.a. the Card King. We are live on ABC's KMET 1490 AM.com, your number one spot right here for news and talk on the West Coast. I thank everyone for tuning in this morning. And I'm here waiting for one of our guests. He's supposedly supposed to be calling in, maybe running a little late. Let's see. So we can get started with some sports card news. There's been a lot over the last week or two. Fresh find was recently reported. Uncut sheets of Topps finest products from 1990s headed to auction in auction company in Dallas, Texas. A near run of uncut sheets from the Topps finest products from the mid 1990s will be headed to auction company in Dallas early this year. The sheets, which total more than 30, it will be part of a January, actually the end of this month, sports card auction beginning. What is it? A platinum night sale. I think the auction company his name is Heritage. They will be auctioning it off, and it will include all four major sports from 1993 to 1995, plus even non-sports Star Wars card products from the mid 1990s, 1994. The sheets will be sold in separate lots. Some include full sheets of the scarce refractor cards, which are included in that sale. And this was a major find because some of these are first sheets to be discovered, and they're uncut, and they appear to be proof sheets. And one of the consignment directors at this Heritage Auctions company says that it's like opening up, and I quote, "It's like opening up a time capsule" when he found these sheets. So there's a lot to be offered at this Heritage auction, which is sometimes this month. I believe it's beginning January, sometime this month, maybe this week or next week. I don't have the exact date, but you can read more about that online. And I've been through my travels last week. I was at a convention and met a few collectors who came up to me, and they wanted to know, they wanted to find some vintage baseball cards that is feasible to their budget. So there's plenty of ways that you can go if you have a budget on vintage sports cards. Again, the older the cards you are planning to invest in, for example, the pre-1950 cards, if they are in lower condition, you're always able to get them at a decent price, at a decent rate. But a few cards from my own personal knowledge that I've been very lucky with, if you have a budget, the 52 Topps baseball cards, the first major card set by Topps, released in 1952. Those cards are really, really beautiful, and of course they feature that set features the most expensive card, the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card. But the 52 Topps, if you have a budget, I would look to start investing in the 52 Topps because you have a good storyline there. Like I mentioned, it's the first major card set released by Topps, and it's the first time Topps issued large size, colorful baseball cards. And that 52 Topps series features so many Hall of Famers, like I just mentioned, Mickey Mantle. The set includes the most expensive card, the Mickey Mantle card from 1952, but that's so expensive, so that wouldn't be a budget card, obviously. But other cards in that set that's pretty affordable. I mean, you can go after the Duke Snider card, which is pretty affordable. 52 Topps Duke Snider card. Of course, the Richie Ashburn card is also very affordable. Richie Ashburn, another Hall of Famer. Johnny Mize, the great Yankee, is another affordable card. And there was a nice article on this type of subject. If you Google online, there was a nice article in our hobby website regarding affordable 1952 tops, and they mentioned a few of these cards, and I agree with them. The Johnny Mize 1952 tops, card number 129, is very affordable. It's a horizontal type image of the great Johnny Mize, and he's holding 4 bats on his shoulder. I mean, gorgeous card, gorgeous color, a beautiful picture. You can see Johnny Mize's face, pretty affordable. Also, the 52 tops Joe Garagiola. Also, I agree with this article that's online in our hobby website. 52 tops Joe Garagiola. He's always been a popular. You all know Joe Garagiola, the announcer. He was also a major a collector of vintage sports cards. He collected the T206 tobacco cards, I recall, but his 52 tops card is also an affordable one. There's also cards like Don DiMaggio in the set, which is affordable. So, I mean, there's a lot of options you can go for if you're looking for a budget. And the 52 tops is a great way to start your budget type collection. Again, it's the first major card set issued by Topps and the first large size cards ever issued in the history of card collecting. And, you know, it's very affordable. You can find affordable Hall of Famers in that set. Also, you got to remember that 53 tops is another series that's beautifully made. There's also affordable 53 tops if you have a budget that you can go after and collect and store away for your collections. The 53 tops baseball cards have so many Hall of Famers in that card set, and that card run, and they're very, very affordable. And other hobby news, I mean, there's also auctions coming up. There's an auction coming up where it features the T206, the tobacco card of Eddie Plank, the Maggie era card, and some key Jordan cards that are up for auction. And let's see, the Maggie era card is considered in the T206 tobacco set of 1910. Considered among the rarest early 1900s baseball cards ever produced. The Plank, there's one up for auction. The Plank, one of only 39 cards graded by this company called SGC. So there's only 39 cards graded by SGC of the rare Plank. And PSA, from what I understand, they graded 21 copies of the scarce T206 Eddie Plank card. So that's an auction coming up. You may want to look at that if you collect vintage cards and you have disposable income to spend, and you're looking to invest in some very rare, expensive cards for your personal collection. You can start there by Googling this auction that's taken place. And you can Google the T206 Plank, the T206 Maggie era card, which is up for auction. And there you have it. Also in this auction will be a graded Beckett 9 mint 1997-1998 Metal Universe Championship Precious Metals Gems of Michael Jordan for auction, and a copy graded 9 mint by Beckett will be offered in this auction, which is coming up very, very soon. Also, from what I understand, there was a court battle in a trademark infringement case over risque cards. And there was a lawsuit. Court awards Panini $600,000 in trademark infringement case over risque cards, which is also news in our hobby. So you may want to look at that if you're interested in learning what's happening, major news in our industry. And that's also news that's recently been released, which, I haven't got a chance to talk about much sports cards. I've been having guests on the show, and I'll have a couple of guests coming on hopefully next week. I focus on music as well, so I haven't been able to speak to the listening audience here about the business of sports cards. But there's a couple of there's a couple of some media news releases that I just mentioned. Now, there's also a nice article this week on the impossible players who died before their final card was released. And we can go through this a little bit. And this was very interesting. Also, this was noted on a website in our hobby, our industry, our hobby circulation, which you can Google on this. And they wrote this interesting article, which is called "The Impossible Players Who Died Before Their Final Cards," and they feature a few of these players, which is the 1970 tops, number 88 Miguel Fuentes. 1970 tops released his card, but apparently Fuentes, the ball player Fuentes, was shot and killed outside a Puerto Rican bar in January 29, 1970, just days after the end of the Puerto Rican Winter League season. So his 1970 Topps baseball card, number 88, is his last card. Unfortunately, he was killed, and I found this article very interesting, where it features ball players who passed away right before or right after their release cards were produced, which I didn't know. 1993 Fleer, card number 444 of Tim Cruz, and Cruz was listed with the Dodgers, and he played with them in 1992, but signed with the Cleveland Indians in January 1993. And he was killed in the March boating accident that also took his teammate Steve Olin, the tragic a tragic death. Olin was featured in Series 1, and Tim Cruz, was in Series 2, released in June, at least 4 months after his signing with Cleveland and at least 2 months after their death, and still listed as a Dodger. Now, Cruz's pinnacle release had a Cleveland headshot on the back. Also, Fleer's final edition said isn't much easier to finish. Another Indians pitcher, Cliff Young, was killed in November car accident well after the production of the set had been completed. So I did not know that. 2002 Upper Deck 40 man, number 578 and number 1140, card number 578 and card number 1140, Darryl Kyle. 40 man is a Upper Deck series consisting of 1,182 cards. Some who never got to the major leagues. It was released in July, mid-year in 2002, and a lot of these players rarely got their cards featured, in this series. So only 2 years removed from a 20-win season, and he was on top of 5 Cy Young finish seasons. He tragically died in his sleep during an undiagnosed heart ailment on June 22, weeks before the Upper Deck 2002 series was released. So that I did not know that as well. And go back to vintage, the Don Fleming card of 1963, card number 22, on June 4, 1963, 2 weeks after Don Fleming's death. Ernie Davis, another ball player, was following a battle of leukemia. So the 25-year-old Fleming, he died in a Florida construction accident. Don Fleming, who was pictured on the 1963 Topps baseball series, he's card number 22. He actually passed away on a accident, which was very, very tragic. So this is just information. When you're looking on Google, you can go into the hobby sports card stories of the week, and you can Google these subjects and find more interesting and shocking news on related to sports cards and the players, as I just mentioned. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I do want to mention that there's been a a lot of shows taking place now, not only sports card shows, but a lot of paper shows. There's actually a big paper convention this weekend. It's called Paper Mania. For those of you listening to the program and are living in the Northeast, there's a show going on today and I believe tomorrow in Hartford, Connecticut. It's called Paper Mania. And if you're looking for vintage paper material, vintage magazines, vintage publications, vintage postcards, anything paper related, I would advise you to, if you have free time today, to go to Hartford, Connecticut and check out Paper Mania. Now, I've attended that show for the last 10 years, and I got to tell you that if you're looking for a deal, you will be able to find deals at this convention that's happening, Paper Mania. Now, in the past, I was able to buy out a couple of dealers or vendors who were set up at this location, and I've been very successful in buying out their stock of items and their stock of publications. And they always the vendors there. The vendors there are always willing to make a deal and negotiate with you. So it's a good way to profit if you are looking to do this on the side. So today the show is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Hartford, Connecticut. Now I may pass by for like an hour or two, and what I will be looking for there is specifically postcards. Now you got to remember that the vintage postcards, there's a lot of postcards that were issued through the decades, and they feature a lot of the old baseball stadiums. So what I go after when I go to a paper show is which I've been very successful in reselling and profiting. I look for the vintage postcards that have the vintage stadiums. Like you could find postcards issued in the 1940s that have pictures of Ebbets Field. You can find postcards issued in the 1940s and 50s and 60s that have pictures of the old Yankee Stadium. You can find postcards issued in even with old ball players. So postcards have really been something new to me, and I've been going after them because if you look on my website or on my eBay page, you will see in the past that I offered a big collection of postcards, vintage postcards, sports postcards, and they all sold very, very well for me. And they're very affordable as well. Like you could pick up a 1949 postmarked stamp postcard of Ebbets Field for like $6-7, and you can resell it for like $15 to $20. So I mean, there's still it's still a bargain price if you like vintage cards. This is another way or another method of obtaining cardboard in a postcard style setting, and they're still very affordable. Postcards were made with a lot of ball players' pictures on them, a lot of stadiums. So there's a lot of profit to be made if you want to delve into something different from sports trading cards. Also, some other hobby sports memorabilia news. From what I understand, there's a set of 6 Jordan. We go back to Michael Jordan. There's a set of 6 Jordan shoes from each of his NBA championships, which has been headed to auction. And the story reads, and this story was released, what day was this? January 4th, and I quote, a set of 6 shoes worn by Michael Jordan during each of his NBA championships clinching victories is off the private sale market, but will be sold to the highest bidder next month. And I quote this, and this all this information comes from Sports Collectors Daily, who's been very good, to be honest with you. And if you go onto Sports Collectors Daily, that is the website of our hobby. That is the number one website for news and talk in our industry. And if you go onto their site, Sports Collectors Daily, and I want to thank them for this because they did a nice feature on me when I did the Rhode Island convention a few months back. They did a nice feature on my inventory of baseball cards at that show. They took a picture of my showcase, and it shows all my stacks of vintage sports cards that I had offered for sale during that show. So I want to thank Sports Collectors Daily for taking a picture of my inventory and putting it on their website. But this article, as I was just talking about, the set of 6 Jordan shoes from each of his NBA championships headed for auction. And I quote from Sports Collectors Daily, Sotheby's, which is the auction company which had taken the shoes on an exhibition tour last year in an effort to sell them on behalf of the current owner, will offer them as part of a larger auction set to open in February. February 2nd is the exact date. They carry a estimated value of $7 million to $10 million. Wow. So the shoes are currently owned by a private collector who bought them from collector named Tim Hallam, Hallam. Again, this is on Sports Collectors Daily. The public relations director of the Chicago Bulls during the team's regular visit to the finals in the 1990s. Hallam acknowledged years ago that it became a tradition for Jordan to give his shoes after a finals clinching game. So if you're into Jordan memorabilia, here you may want to go check out Sotheby's auction house. Sotheby's is a big auction house. They have offices globally, but they have an office in New York City. And they're offering Jordan's collection of sneakers. And there is a picture on the site. It looks like one of the pair of sneakers are signed. So, it looks like a couple of sneakers are signed. So there it is. And there's also a picture of Jordan wearing his sneaker in the locker room during the 1990s season. So you want to check that out. There's a bunch. And I'll tell you, we'll go through the list of Michael Jordan sneakers that it's headed to Sotheby's February 2nd sale. His 1991 NBA championship game-worn shoe for the Bulls' return to the championship. He wore the bread with a translucent sole. That's also in the auction. So his 1991 Jordan's championship game-worn shoe, his 1996 NBA championship shoe of Michael Jordan, his 1992 Michael Jordan game-worn NBA championship shoe is also headed to Sotheby's February 2nd sale. What else? You have his 1993 NBA championship game-worn shoe. That's also included in the lot. His 1997 NBA championship shoe as well, 1997 NBA championship shoe, game worn, and that one's autographed. And his 1998 Jordan's game worn NBA championship shoe. So you have his 98, his 97, his 93 sneaker, his 92 sneaker, his 1996 sneaker, 1991 sneaker, all headed to Sotheby's auction house. February 2nd is the date of the auction. So for you Jordan collectors listening to the program and want to invest in something non-sports card related, there you go. So also there was a find of the old Polo Grounds triple seats field box, and there was a stadium tore down these seats about 60 years ago, the Polo Grounds. And these seats also were found, and the chairs from the Polo Grounds, New York Giants, the first stadium for the New York Mets as well. When the Mets first started their franchise, they played in the Polo Grounds before Shea Stadium was built. So the Polo Grounds was located in Upper Manhattan, demolished in April 10th, 1964, and apparently seats from the stadium were discovered. So these, I don't know if they're going to be up for auction, but one of these seat collectors obtained these ballpark memorabilia items, And yeah, so this was a recent find, and maybe they'll be heading up for auction soon. So that's more hobby news briefs happening. And also I got to tell you, I got an email last week from a collector. He actually wanted to know where is currently the best place to sell his cards. Okay, so if you have a couple of options, and I spoke about this in the past, but I haven't did a sports card program in a while, so I'll mention it again. There's a lot of marketplaces out right now. You have Mercari, even you have all these apps happening, but well, you can say the auction site that's still the major player in the business, of course, is eBay. This collector asked me if he had a choice to put his collection up on eBay or Amazon, who would, what would be my opinion where to go? So here's the deal. The eBay, Amazon is not really, in my opinion, an auction company. It's more like if you have a retail store and you want to get a regular price for an item. If you're looking to auction your cards and get the best price for your items in an auction format, then it's eBay. Amazon, if you're looking to sell right away off the bat, fine. For selling purposes, in one shot, put it on Amazon. If you're looking to grab the highest bidder, then you want to use eBay. So eBay for auctions, Amazon just for sale. That's my opinion. And of course, if you're looking to sell your cards, you can always email me, Brian Cataquet. I'm easily accessible on Google. And, I pay cash for your cards. And, hopefully I'll hear from you. So until next week, happy collecting to all.